Happy Wine Wednesday. Today we're talking River Stone from Oliver, BC, and we are also live on their platform. So, coming back soon.
Yeah. Welcome, River Stone, folks.
Hey, that's what we're talking about. There you go. Happy Wine Wednesday. Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher,
Carl Boucher.
also
Cheers.
all Riverstone members, all Riverstone followers, welcome and happy Wine Wednesday here with Carl's Wine Club. We're live from Summerland, BC. It's 5 o'clock here Pacific, and welcome to everyone across the country. Mira, how are you doing?
Great. It's Wednesday and it is time for some wine. What's in my glass, Carl?
Well, I mean, you know what? It is Wednesday. It is time for some wines. And in your very glass that you have in your hand, it's a sparkling white Merlot.
Oh, yes.
And in the two other glasses that you have right behind you, you have two gold medal wine. You have a 92 plus point and you have a 93 point. So today you're gonna taste some outstanding wine, very highly rated, and we're gonna talk about River Stone. And I'm so thrilled because first and foremost, yes, we're gonna talk with Ted Kane, the owner winemaker at River Stone. But not only that, as we're going to taste their whole lineup and connect with their own followers. So it should be a really good show. And I've been a big fan of Riverstone for now 3 years. And yeah, it is such a great story. It is such a fantastic lineup of wines. And I think I will also have to talk about a wine that we've tasted a couple of weeks ago that you got obsessed with. So it's really exciting.
It was one of those wow wines, like one of those rare wines, maybe once every few years, that you go, wow, I'm always going to remember this one.
You know
and I
what?
want a case if they still have any. So
we'll have to slow down on the case here, but that's the one we're talking about here. Riverstone Milestone, a very special wine that Ted made in vintage 2015 and 2017, I believe. Or is it 15 and 13? Either or. Anyway, only twice. And we had the chance, the privilege to taste it a few weeks back. And yeah,
so we stopped at the winery. Let's walk them through because Ted Kane, the owner and winemaker at River Stone, is going to stop by in a few minutes. But we went there a few weeks ago. As you pull in, this is kind of what it looks like as you're driving in, right? And, first thing you notice when you get into the tasting room is...
the sky was amazing that day.
Oh, yeah, always is in the Okanagan. Like, it's just so gorgeous. And first thing you notice, they just recently scored in the top 10 small wineries in Canada at the Wine Align competition. So
number five top 10 wine, number 5 small winery in Canada. So yeah.
And when you get in their tasting room, this because their wines have all those awards plus other ones like All Canadians and tons of other awards. It's pretty cool to see. I think they've been around since around 2001 is when they bought the property. So quite well established. And I think they've been doing an amazing job. So yeah, after we went there, of course, Ted was around. He heard we were stopping by. So we're about to get back in our car. I take all these little pictures I'll show you guys in the tasting room. This is a old-fashioned wine press out in the patio. There's Carl with Ted, the owner and winemaker. And then we're just about to get in our car. And Ted's like, "Oh, Carl, there's one more thing I'd love for you to taste and tell me what you think." right?
Yeah.
And you pulled out the Milestone. You can see how excited Carl is, all right? And that's when we heard the story. And hopefully, I mean, Ted will share a little more about that special wine in a few minutes here. But we were like, I was obsessed for days after we tasted that.
Listen, I've been tasting a lot of wines in the last 20 years. And in the last 3 years, I've been tasting around like 1,200 Canadian wines a year. It's a lot of Canadian wines. And this wine, the Milestone, definitely, without a doubt, in my top 10 of all time. And probably the top 5 of my top 5 reds. I mean, this wine, it's an incredible finesse. Like the precision, the refinement of that wine. There's just something unique that you do not find barely anywhere else. I mean, it's like more than unique. It's really very, very special, borderline magic. I mean, it's one way that I can put it. So,
and I agree. And I'm, you know, Carl's been doing this for almost 30 years, tasting wines and reviewing wines and all this kind of stuff. But I have not. I am more of the average wine drinker. And I also agree. and there's no like refinement about me. I can taste 1,000 wines with Carl and I can just go, holy smokes, that one was just woohoo on the Mira scale. That one was just spectacular. So
yeah, I mean, in terms of like Canadian, like what we taste, like this was a moment, like a Pearl Morissette Cuvée 19e kind of moment. It was like, I would say probably the Ice Cellar Syrah 2020 kind of moment. It was like, there's very few moments that I have that wine in my mouth and I'm like, holy shit, something's happening, right? Like something, you know, that is something, but like mind-boggling that's something. And yeah, and it was one of these moments. So, and you know, I clearly remember having one of these moments, like I was in Italy in the Barolo region, tasting from like one of the very, very, very small production Barolo on the cru. I had that once, I remember, with the Châteauneuf du Pape. But I remember also with the 2009 Sassicaia. Like there's some very few moments in your wine career, but like it's something right in our back door here, like in our backyard. I mean, like 45 minutes from home. And yeah, something incredible. So we're going to have more on that wine a little bit later, but we have a few bottles available for our wine club members, for Carl's Wine Club. It's part of the offer because guess what? The River Stone offer is out. It's out. It's going. And it's, oh yeah, it's one of my favorite of the year. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite lineup of the year. We have, listen, I've been pounding the table saying since 2020 that when I discover River Stone, that they make the best Sauvignon Blanc in the country. There's other great Sauvignon Blanc. I don't get me wrong, but I mean, in terms of purity, in terms of flavor definition, and in terms of brightness and freshness and Sauvignon Blanc, I mean, River Stone does it like no one else. And that 2022 vintage, I mean, I called it before they got their gold medal. That's funny because we tasted that wine even before the Wine Line. It was like, yeah, there you go again. There you go. They're the best in the country.
Your favorite Sauv Blanc in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So yeah, this like even like their splash, like their, I won't say entry level. I would say their party wine. And this wine is an absolute beauty. And when we tasted that, we're like, holy moly, this is so well made. This is so unique in terms of flavor, but not weird. This is just bang on, refreshing, perfect party wine. Then a couple of weeks later, boom, the Wine Line result came out and Splash got gold medal. I'm like, Mira, look at what's here. So yeah, not a surprise that Stone's Throw and Cornerstone got gold medal as well. So we're talking about 4 gold medals in that pack. And you know, it's really exciting to get Cornerstone, Stone's Throw. I've been pounding the table for years that 2019 vintage has been is such an outstanding vintage in the Okanagan. I have a really close bond with the 19 vintage. I don't know why.
For reds, especially for reds.
Especially for red, you're correct, Mira. And there's an elegance in that vintage that I truly appreciate. And there we go, Stone's Throw, cornerstone on the 19 vintage. But to have the Merlot and the Cap Franc in that pack, to me, it's become like it's great because most of these wines are mostly built with Cap Franc and Merlot. So that gives us an idea of the elements of that whole, right? So it's really cool to see, and we'll talk with Ted about that. And to me, that's what makes River Stone so special. That the minerality, that stony minerality, that almost charcoal, like that little special hint on the finish, like it's not like a little bit salty, a little bit grainy, but there's a minerality at the end of the wines, especially on the reds that you don't necessarily feel usually on red. It's usually very perceptible on white, but not necessarily on red. But yeah, these wines are old world. These wines are Bordelais style, and yeah, I mean,
very cool. Hey, I can never tell in the VIP group because it's private who's posting, but this is guess what member it is for this comment. Oh, come now! I had to convince you. 2019 was amazing. I think I remember that conversation. I think this is Clay Martin from BC Wine Review. Clay, if it's you. Yeah.
I would bet one of my 3 children on that it's Clay commenting.
Yeah, you didn't have to convince him necessarily, but it was kind of a revelation when you said, yeah, the 19s. I mean, it's a thing for the reds.
Well, I remember, like I'm gonna put Clay in perspective here because I clearly remember he's posting stuff that's all good, like some good scores, and I'm like, and I'm putting out scores, and I'm like, I like that 2019 vintage, and Clay's like, you're kind of responding, and yeah, this is one of my favorite, and we're bouncing back and forth, like putting each other up and say, yeah, this is the best. So we kind of pound the table together.
It was kind of a revelation. You don't always realize it, and then you're like, actually, I have rated a lot of the 19s really high. That's kind of how it was for you, hey? But guess what? Ted Kane, winemaker and co-founder at River Stone, is actually in the green room. Shall we bring him in?
You know why? You know what? Why not? I mean, he's here, so let's bring it in.
We want to learn more. Let's learn more. Ted.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Ted, how's it going?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. You know, another beautiful Wednesday. It's sunny.
Your wine's open.
Fantastic.
If Mira has a glass of bubbly and a couple glasses of red on deck, I mean, she's happy. That's for sure.
Thanks, guys. I've been watching a little bit of your pre-show here, and thanks for all the kind comments, guys. It's great to be with you, and to all of the Carl's Wine Club wine lovers out there. So thanks for inviting me in.
Thank you, Ted. We have, especially at this time, at early during the Wednesday show, it's 8:00 back east. So we have a lot of our wine club members out east especially in Ontario, who likes to tune in right out of the gate. So I know that Mike Laplan, the average wine enthusiast, who has a great show on YouTube. If you have a minute at some point, you should look at what he's doing. It's really cool. So Mike is listening right now, and we have a good crew from Ontario already end the show. But Ted, you know what? It's a privilege to have you. We're excited. Last time we connected is over a year ago, so we're overdue for a little recap of what's going on at River Stone. But I would like to start off by congratulate you and the team for the amazing result that you guys got this year at the National Wine Line. Congrats. It's really, really, really amazing result.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, I know we're really pleased with the results. Some great vintages out there, including the 2022 vintage that we're tasting the Sauv Blanc from, and the Splash. But growing grapes in the South Okanagan, it's just a pleasure. Mother Nature does the work, and we just put it all together at the end. So we're really fortunate to be here making wines.
So Ted, you have your hands in the winemaking, in the grape growing, in the winery operation, basically on everything. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. We're one of a few that I get to do it all, but I have a great team that helps me out. So credit goes to those guys too. So yeah.
Absolutely. Before we start on anything, now the congratulations are up and all that. I would like you to, well, for me, what's fascinating with River Stone, it starts with the site. I mean, pretty much in every, like where a winery success starts, it's where they're located and how they, I would say, how they get 100% of their winery sites. And I want to know a little bit more because there's something very special on the River Stone site. So tell us a little bit more about where you guys are located and what makes your spot very special.
Okay, so we are located just north of Oliver, and we're located on one big pile of rock and gravel. It's just a gravel pit owner's dream, but it's also a wine grower's dream as well too. Really nice uniform sand and gravel, sandy loam top soil. And we have a hill basically that has a south, a southwest, and a southeast aspect to it. So the sun rises up in the morning and just rotates around our property. That gravel, rich gravel, soaks up all the heat. And we have a beautiful aquifer that flows underneath the property. So we get to irrigate with our own water, and it's just the best of all worlds. It's a really special, special site. So beautiful minerality. You can't go far without finding some of the rock in the soils that is just covered with a calcium carbonate kind of a frosting, and calcium rich. And like you find in the wines, that minerality just really shows forward. It's perfect for those reds.
And how did you get to find that place? I mean, now how and when? Because in today's world, there's not an square inch available in the Okanagan Valley, and to have that amazing site, how did you get your hand on that, and when did it happen?
Yeah, a little bit of luck and circumstance, but also we'd been planning our adventure out to the Okanagan Valley, to Oliver area a long time ago. And we ended up landing here in the year 2001, purchasing our property. And at the time, it was raw land. It hasn't been farmed for about 40 years, they told me. They said that 1947 was the last year had been farmed, and an epic cold had shut down what was being farmed on the property. It was cantaloupes, watermelon, and apparently they had planted some apple and pear trees. But epic cold, 1947, shut it all down, and nobody farmed it until I started farming it. So, being at the right place, the right time, it was an estate sale. It was just meant to be, I think, and my dream come true.
That's amazing. And what's your background, Ted? I mean, I think you're from Alberta, correct?
Yes, yeah. Born and raised in Edmonton, and I was, like a kid with a chemistry set, jack of all trades. Just loved to tinker and putter, and also fascinated with chemistry and fermentation. Started in at the age of 17. Finding anything I could, as a crab apples in the backyard, or rhubarb, or all kinds of stuff like that. And I'd make wines out of that, and I had my hands into every winemaking book I could find, and learning about the chemistry. And I learned pretty early on that they said wine is where you have to be. And so I went into, first of all, kit wines. And then I found that the chemistry wasn't quite right with that. I could adjust the chemistry, make some good wines, at least so my friends told me. And then I went to grapes, of course, the Italian market grapes to start with. And it wasn't quite as ripe as I was hoping for. So I traveled out to British Columbia in my Honda Civic. I'd load up with grapes every season. Car was brimming with grapes. I'd travel back to Alberta, make wines in the basement. And I was involved in clubs and guilds, and, we'd chat and, make wines and, compare. And it was just a whole lot of fun. A geek.
That's amazing. Yeah. So 2001, that's when you purchased the property. And was it for you, was it obvious that you had to plant that site with Bordeaux varietals, or there were much more of a study and a trial and error, or you went straight for the Bordeaux varietal? That was your gut feeling.
Yeah. Well, in my home winemaking stages, I was really gravitating towards those Bordeaux red varietals. When I say those varietals, I'm speaking about Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot, classics. But I had to find a place where they would grow the best, and that is the South Okanagan. It's the heat, the dryness, the ability for us to put the water on when we want to, because Mother Nature doesn't do a lot of that down here. But you have a consistency of vintages, and the climate is absolutely perfect for ripening red grapes. Yeah,
definitely. And I want to bring one point because we're talking South Okanagan, and almost immediately people know the Golden Mile, right? Golden Mile is like there's something. The first thing that comes to mind when we talk Oliver, but where you are, I mean, there's a drastic difference in terms of terroir. For like you're 15 minutes from the Golden Miles, and your terroir is completely different than what you get down there. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. We are on pretty much pure rock and gravel, and the Golden Mile is also, more lake bed bottom, a mixture, of things, sand, gravel, clay. But we have, sunshine as well too. We're in the center of the valley. And so we get long sunlit days. The sun kind of, leaves the west side of the valley, the Golden Mile, a little bit earlier than our place. So we get really long days, and that really helps us get that ripeness and the heat and everything. So it's a special spot for sure.
Yeah, and to me, I'll bring my perspective into that. And when I taste your wine, and you mentioned it at the beginning, and I've been mentioning it since the first time I taste, it's the minerality. That rocky, stony minerality that to me are easier to perceive in white wine, but to me, it just stands out in reds. And that takes me to the old world every time that I taste your wine, much more than that new world perspective that we are used to these days. So yeah, am I right when I describe your portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. There's certain of the reds that really show that sort of rocky, stony minerality. And I often say to people, if you could imagine sucking on stones, I know it sounds kind of funny, but you know what? That is the essence of it. And I think you can relate to that too. It's just a beautiful earthiness surrounded by vibrant fruit, really true to varietal character. And, it just Mother Nature, brings them to the proper ripeness. We have to pick that out. And then the rest is just great winemaking, hopefully, yeah.
Okay. So we know that we've all read. I want to talk just a little bit about Sauvignon Blanc because I've been mentioning it for a while now. I think you are, to me, the top of class of Sauvignon Blanc producer in the country, and very consistently, like year in and year out. Is there something that makes the sites better for Sauvignon Blanc, or did you had something for Sauvignon Blanc before, or it just came in just like that? I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, no, I'm been a lover of Sauv Blanc for years now, and tasting the world of Sauv Blancs, I really was gravitated towards the Marlborough style in New Zealand area. But BC meets New Zealand. We have the ability to ripen it here, and it's really that balance. Again, balance is so important. In the vineyard, it's the balancing green growth with fruit, leaf coverage with sunshine, and then acid with residual sugar balance. It's all about that, and I'm trying to capture the essence of aromatics and then flavor, and not trying to lose any of that. And that's where it all comes together, and that's what you get for me. And it's my favorite. Well, I love the varietal. It's a fantastic varietal.
Mira's favorite white varietals, and I mean, this is to me. You're talking about the minerality. Is there one varietal that I think like something comes very obvious when you get that beautiful minerality? Sauv Blanc, it's absolutely shining, right? So it comes out beautifully. So congrats, because this one is fantastic, like top of the list of the Canadian Sauvignon Blanc. And it's right here in the pack this week. We're really, really excited. One of your gold medal at this year Wine Align. So let's touch base with the splash, because I mean, we can't forget that price. And I don't believe in cheap wine. This has never been part of my vocabulary. I like to talk about value wine, and I like to talk about party wine, but value. Now, 2023, the market has changed. Like, we can't find wines under $20 anymore. Like, I mean, like everything went so exponentially expensive. So now we're looking at a $23 wine where it delivers so much. There's so much here. Is it all estate fruit? And I believe that you must purchase a little bit of the fruit to put it to build the splash, correct?
No, actually, this is all estate grown fruit.
All estate.
Yeah, back in the early days, I did purchase a little bit of Viognier for it, but in 2020, we purchased a second property just bordering this property, and that's where the Viognier is grown, and the Pinot Gris and Gewurz in that blend comes from this property here. So, yeah, all the state grown, and beautiful rocky soils. I call my other site Boulder City. Yes, because it's full of big, huge rocks, and this side's River Rock Vineyards over here. So you know about the terroir just by the names, right? And those are our vineyards, right? And that's the special part. Yeah,
you know about it by the name, but you know about the flavors as well. And absolutely, that rocky flavors. This wine, I mean, at that price point, is just absolutely spectacular. One thing I want to talk to you before, there's two things about vintages. I'm kind of a little freak about vintage. I try to remember the typicity of each and every vintage. And I had a very specific affinity with 2019 vintage, especially for reds. I thought that 19 was a little cooler year in BC, and it provides that elegance in the 2019s. 20s are beautiful. 2021 have their own style as well. Like 21, we had the heat dome, and there was plenty of challenges. 2022 gets its challenge, but 19. Can you tell me a little bit more about how did you treat it 19, and how do you perceive 2019 vintage?
Yeah. Well, another great vintage. It started off about the same as most vintages down in the South Okanagan, with our bud break in late April, in around the 20th to the 27th. That's pretty common for me down here, and only on the odd year would it be any different. So we started off early that year, and some good heat to start us off, but then we had a cool June, I believe, that year. Relatively cooler summer into July, and then August, beautiful. September, cool again, and then we had a fabulous October. So helped us to finish off the season on the right foot. So Mother Nature, I agree, it was a cooler year, but lots of beautiful acidity retained, and I love to work with that acidity. It's that's special for sure. And you can't lose it in the South, for sure, That's it, exactly. And the longevity of these wines, especially from 19, and I can see that in Stone's Throw and Cornerstone, these wines are going to live for a very long time. Yes, I think you're right, for sure, yeah. So from 19, I would like to talk a little bit about this year growing season and now harvest, because Mother Nature provide you guys with some major challenge in terms of winter damage last year. How were you affected? Yeah, it was a very difficult year. I started off the spring being very optimistic, seeing my green growth start out on time on my Cabernet Franc anyway. But then the rest of my varietals were all late coming out, and I was pretty certain that we had some damage. So it really was that primary bud damage. And lots of secondary buds came, and they can produce some fruit, very small clusters. But the volume of fruit this year is way, way down. We are less than a third of what we would get off of our two vineyards. And so it's tough for sure. Yeah, it's a tough year for all people in the wine industry, I think we'll see. And it'll be a year to remember for sure. Yeah, on the back end of 2022, I believe that last year was a bumper crop, that like people like to call it, but a little bit more voluminous. So was it your case as well last year? So now you can pay off a little bit more on 2022? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, 2022 was a fabulous year. Really nice big volumes, great ripeness. Long season. So yeah, it's luckily we had a good year that year, because it's going to help to carry us through to the next over the next couple of years. 2023. We'll see, when the vintage comes out next spring, we'll see a lot lower volume throughout the valley. Yeah, including us. Yeah. No, especially for what we do here, Mira and I mean, we've been traveling the valley up and down since the very beginning, and we know that next year and the year after, there's going to be a big gap. There's going to be a big gap on the market. But I'm hearing, though, and I experienced I did some crush with a few wineries, the quality of the fruit that you guys have harvested, it's pretty darn good, though. Yep. Yeah, small amount of fruit, early harvest, great quality though. Yeah. So we'll just tell you, for those looking for those special wines out there, they're just going to have to buy them early because they're going to be gone early too. That's the thing, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, okay, I've covered a few things, and now I can't wait any longer. I know that Mira is downstairs, and she's like, okay, are you going to talk about Milestone, Carl? I know that you want to get on the subject, and I do want to chat about that very special wine. Listen, Ted, I was just about to leave the winery like 3 weeks ago, and you came out in the driveway, and you said, Carl, please just take that and let me know what you think. I don't get giddy too often. Like, I mean, I've been tasting a lot of wine, and I don't want to sound pretentious, but it takes a lot to get me on my ass. Like, it takes a lot to absolutely floor me. This wine, absolutely. Like, I had at a certain point, I have to call other people from the industry just to get validated for what I was tasted. It's a magical wine, Ted. So I have first, before we get into detail, I want to congratulate you in the sense that what you've made that, it's one of the top 5 Canadian wine that I've tasted on my all-time list. It's extremely special.
Thanks very much.
And I mean it. I mean, we do that every week with different, but I mean it. This was like, Mira said, Carl, I have a problem. I get obsessed with that wine. I'm waking up at night thinking about that wine. So now I have a problem on my hand. But I know there's a very, very special story behind that. So let's start from the very beginning. Milestone is a collector item that you made exclusively in 2 vintages and a very, very, very small quantity. So I will let you tell the story. So where the idea of Milestone is coming from?
Well, you're right. It is very special. It was a special story that that captivated my imagination. It was a story of a 1947 Chateau Cheval Blanc. So for those of you that don't know, Chateau Cheval Blanc is a winery up in the Bordeaux region on the right bank, so more close to Saint-Emilion. And they do produce red wines. So anyway, 1947 was this year that is talked about and renowned for the red wine that they made of this name, Chateau Cheval Blanc. It's a Cab Franc Merlot blend. It's a field blend. So together they grow the Cab Franc and the Merlot. It's slightly more dominant in their Cab Franc side of things. The soils are very similar to my soils here with rich calcium content and rock and gravel. That year was a really special year for them, a really different hard year, actually. It was a year where the heat was just epic. Growing season, on the 15th of September, they had 35 degrees. And that sounds like the Okanagan to me, like that's every year just about. But anyway, I knew the growing conditions were similar for me that year. It produced a wine.
Oh, look at that. Look at that, what Mira just pulled out. That is amazing. Yeah. Great wine, Mira.
If that's a real bottle and you're going to try it, you should invite me because I'd love to try it. It's hard to get your hands on it, so I only could imagine it. And to this day, I know that if a bottle can be found, it's usually in some cellar in a Michelin restaurant or something like that, and it's over $16,000 or $1,600 per bottle, right? And so you can just imagine. I mean, to find one would just be incredible. But the wine writers have talked about this wine as the best wine in history. Some of them, So to me, that really captivated my imagination. I read all about it. They had, tough conditions trying to manage the ferments. It was hot. They would throw chunks of ice in to their ferments. They weren't used to the alcohol content that comes with the ripeness of those grapes. They usually produce, in the 12 to 13% range. This one would have presented a range in excess of that. So anyway, they had what they thought was not complete fermentation. It went to barrel, a little bit of residual sugar that they weren't sure about. Anyway, it turned out to be this magical, magical wine. And obviously that captivated my imagination. So I said, hey, I'm going to give that a try. So that's what we did. We did a co-ferment with Cab Franc and Merlot, and we gave it a very special treatment. Last of the season, super ripe grapes, beautiful growing year, both 2012 and 2015 I did it. And but I only did a very small amount, as you mentioned. So in 2012, we did one one full barrel, and that is 25 cases worth. And then in 2015, we did 2 barrels worth. So yeah, so very special volume, special wine, special treatment, special oak. Everything was special about it. And so it's turning into a real magical wine. And it's close to my heart for sure. Yeah.
Definitely magical. I mean, it's incredible. That's funny. I'm just thinking about what the very beginning of the story. You said the last time that your land was farmed, what is 1947? So now I'm just connecting the dots. Hey, here's 47 Cheval Blanc. So 47 must have been a pretty, it's a pivotal year for Riverstone. That's for sure.
Yeah, actually, that's funny that you mentioned that. I actually hadn't thought of that before. That's really special.
There you go. See, no, and thank you, because I was, but we're privileged enough to have access to a few of these bottles. So for our members who want to get their hand on it, the notes are on the link here. The notes are on the offer all week, so you can take a look at it. I wanted to say as well, and I mentioned it in my note, I believe, and you tell me if you agree with that, I mentioned do not decant that wine. There's a few reasons for that, and it's not because, and I don't want to sound like this wine is on the decline, because definitely I will always suggest if a wine is on the decline, don't put that in the decanter. You're just going to absolutely ruin the little bit, what's left in the wine. So no, this is not the case. This wine is still completely at the top of its curve. But I would say, to me, to preserve the fantastic finesse of that wine, I would not want to take the risk to shake it off a little bit or to go the extra mile to decant it. But maybe this is just me with my personal taste, where I like my wine a little bit more vibrant and energetic. But I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I will always try a wine, especially with age on it, first by itself without any decanting. And then depending on that structure that's present, then I might decide to decant it. But this one, as you mentioned, it's just the tannins are forming beautifully, the silky, smooth. And like I said, I agree, you can lose vibrancy. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. Don't decant it. Just try it first.
But one thing that I did, and I opened the bottle and let it breathe for 2.5 hours. So yes, this part, absolutely. Let it breathe for a while. It can even be 3-4 hours. I mean, but when you pour it in the glass, I let it sit in the glass. To me, that's the treatment that I give it. Sit in the bottle, sit in the glass a little bit. And after that, but you mentioned something very important here. I mentioned finesse and precision. You mentioned silky. Absolutely. The silkiness, the velvet texture, and it's something special. So thank you. I feel blessed to be part of that conversation with the knowledge, and I can taste the softness in my mouth at the moment. So so thank you for inviting us into this experience. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thanks for trying it out, and I'm so pleased that you enjoyed it and that you're sharing your passion and your explanation of the wine with all your wine club fans as well too.
No, I mean it's worth it. It's really, really, really worth it. And also, one other thing that we have this week, because you're digging into your library right now. I know that you have a pretty substantial amount of library wine at the winery, and we have access this week to the 2013 Stone Straw. So, and I tasted it side by side with the 2019, and it's great to see how the 2013 have held up as well, because 13 was a hot vintage, but you're seeing some beautiful fruit, and like I said, a little bit like tar, a little bit like more like there's dark fruit in that wine. There's like espresso coffee. There's a ton of graphite and cedar. Really, really special wine too.
Yeah. No, I'm really pleased with how they're aging. A fabulous vintage. I've got some other 13s and some other varietals, and in the Cornerstone as well. And just another fantastic year in the South Okanagan. We're just really blessed with the growing conditions to make wines like that. And Yeah, I'm loving it too. It's actually our customers. Anybody I get to try it with, they're pretty pleased. Yeah, so it's good.
And before I let you go, one more question. What is the biggest difference stylistically between Stone's Throw and Cornerstone? Because when I taste both, there's definitely a difference on flavor profile. Cornerstone is a little bit more richness, a little bolder, and Stone's Throw, to me, it's more directional. There's a little bit more precision in Stone's Throw. I get a little bit more of that minerality. Is it a little bit the purpose of it, or?
Yeah, well, so I would say that really the Stone's Throw is right bank Bordeaux. Cornerstone is more left bank in the concentration of the varietals in it. So the Cornerstone has some Cabernet Franc in it, whereas this Stone's Throw doesn't. And the quantity of Merlot into the Stone's Throw is higher as well. So we've got just the same rocky soils, all single vineyard wines, these ones. But when you add in that Cab Franc, it just gives that little bit of elegance and to it. Yeah, no, I think that is the difference. So that just having all 5 of the Bordeaux varietals in that Cornerstone and having first pick of the barrels that go into the Cornerstone makes it a little special. But yeah, they're both getting 18 months of aging in beautiful French oak now, and it really does frame the wines nicely. It doesn't hide them, and the tannins are just they're doing their work, and they're coming out beautiful now. So.
Ageability, it's the name of the game here. And I think like minerality, ageability, it makes wine a little bit more like old world style. And Ted, great job. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate. And I would like to bring Mira maybe because sometimes I tend to forget some stuff. But Mira, anything else that you would like to ask?
Yeah, I mean, we got so excited when we tasted that Milestone, Ted, that we called up one of our members who was looking for a very special wine. They had something to celebrate, and they bought 5 of these to help with that celebration. So here we are in the parking lot getting it to them just a couple days after we tasted it, because we were like, we have the perfect wine that's drinking perfectly right now. And so if you guys have anything to celebrate this year, next year, the next few years, I mean, this is one wine to really consider for that. It elevates your whole evening, your whole experience. It makes it really special. So thanks for doing that for us. Thanks for introducing us to that wine and making it possible to have such an amazing wine in the Okanagan.
You're very welcome. It is for those milestone events, and it's I'll tell you more of the story another time, but it really centers around those milestone events, and so yeah, and there's just not that much of it, so unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the thing, eh? Yeah. Well, thank you, Ted. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good luck for the rest of the crush this year, and we greatly appreciate your partnership, Ted. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thanks very much to you too. Really appreciate you guys, and appreciate all your wine club followers as well too. So thanks again.
Amazing.
Thank you, Ted. You have a good evening. Thank you.
And thank you to the River Stone group that we're streaming live on the River Stone page as well. So thank you guys for stopping by. I saw some really nice comments from the page. I think Pete Thompson is on, Marianne Rentoul. They are supporters of River Stone.
That's so amazing. Yeah, it's so great to have to connect with a new group of people, right? So yeah, to all of the River Stone followers, thanks for joining us tonight. It's really great to have you on. So yeah, it's River Stone Week at Carl's Wine Club. So we are indulging into the South Okanagan minerality riverbed style, like Bordeaux style wine. And yeah, it's really exciting. One of my favorite offer of the year. I mean, no disrespect to all of our amazing partner we had since the beginning of the year, but this one gets me really, really excited. Mira, is there something that, okay, let's take the Milestone out of the equation, because I know we're stuck on that, but is there a wine that really talked to you in the whole lineup? So one of the wine that you would say, Carl, that would be my wine.
Oh my gosh. Well, It all depends what we're doing. So what are we doing? What's the occasion? Is it right now that I'm sipping on Wine Wednesday? Because right now
Sure.
you can tell by the glasses that are empty. Right now, I was loving the white Merlot. It's a sparkling.
I don't know if you followed the interview, but I refilled my glass twice. I got the bottle up here, right? So I refilled it too.
And it's rare. Like there's not that many people. I think Mythology near Sonora or at Sonora Desert there that was just
Yeah, but it doesn't do sparkling style, though.
But it's not sparkling. Yeah. So it's really rare to find a sparkling white Merlot. And that was, I think, the first wine we ever tried from River Stone because our friends,
Absolutely.
the members who were here, Jared and Lisa from Calgary, shout out to you guys. Thank you for introducing us to River Stone a couple years ago. They said, well, you have to come check them out. And what's so special? Well, the reds are to die for. And then they have the sparkling white Merlot. It's the only one we know of. So it's kind of cool. But there's so many amazing things about this winery. Not one wine we've ever tasted has been a disappointment. And we just love it. There's also this, which is notable. In our bonus picks, there's a fortified red wine, which my sister is visiting. And she said, we tasted her on it. She doesn't drink wine, but she said, you know what? Let me get 8 of those because I think they'd make a really good gift. There's holidays coming up. So she went and picked up 8 today, actually. So that's a great wine.
It is. I mean, it's so well priced. It's another wine of the blend of Merlot, Cap Franc Merlot. I mean, it's really well made, classically made on the port style. I mean, it's very, very well made, very well priced. The great flavors. It's not oversweet. The balance between alcohol, residual sugar. Sorry, this one is driving me bonkers.
There's fruit flies in the Okanagan, guys, right now. They've been around for weeks.
Ooh,
who knows how to
there you go. Anyway, so yeah, that reflection. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And Clay, I like your comments. It's under the radar, underrated. Fortify, absolutely. I greatly appreciate that fortified. Definitely one of a well-made fortified from the Okanagan. Really enjoy that.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's recap real quick, and then we got to go pretty soon. But we wanted to give you guys a quick glimpse into Pinot Noir Marathon Day and Day 2 of Pinot Noir Marathon Day because we tasted 43 Pinot Noirs.
How about I do the recap of the River Stone Mira? While I do the recap, how about you put the link in the comments one more time so people can go check out my full tasting notes, full score. But starting with the white or the sparkling, the 2022 sparkling white Merlot, 90 points, Carl's Wine Club, fresh. Body, there's body to it, there's texture to it. The bubbles are well put, the bubbles are well sized. There's not an attack of bubble who wants to burst out of your nose when you have a sip of it. So I really enjoy that. It's well made, like purposeful wine. So 90 points here. We follow with the Splash. Splash, a nice $23 wine blend of Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier, Gewürztraminer. So nice, refreshing, really refreshing wine. Gold medal, 91 points, I believe that I gave it. But yeah, this wine is just surprising. Like, I mean, I had no expectation when I cracked that open, and just on the verge of being slightly off dry, but only 8 grams of residual sugar. It's really vibrant. It's really, really fun to drink. I mean, you look for an everyday drinking wine. This is, wow, fantastic. So the Splash, like I said, gold medal at the National. Really enjoyed it as well. My number 1 Sauvignon Blanc in the country, 3 years running. This is the new 2022.
Because we did a Sauvignon Blanc tasting marathon live where we tasted at the time, I mean, this was like 2 years ago, it was only like I don't know, 25 Sauvignon
Yeah,
Blancs.
small one. Small, like it was like just the
These varietal marathons have grown. We recently did 67 Chardonnays. But when we did this one, definitely this one came out on top. And ever since, I mean, we continue to taste Sauv Blanc every week or two, different wineries. And
I feel very comfortable to mention other names, right? Because like wineries like Mayhem, the Anarchist Sauvignon Blanc from Mayhem, fantastic Sauvignon Blanc. In terms of Fumé Blanc, De Silva produced a fantastic Fumé Blanc. In Ontario, Ferox has an incredible Sauvignon Blanc, fantastic. Bellaterra have a great Sauvignon Blanc as well. But all in all, consistency every year. This is to me, it's the top dog Sauvignon Blanc producer.
We love it. So good.
All right,
so then you got some amazing reds too, and this is often rare to have a winery that kind of pleases the red drinkers and the white wine drinkers. But this one is seriously doing both, so it's fantastic. What do we have for reds here, Carl?
We have Merlot and Cab Franc, so the two base varietals for the Bordeaux blend. 100% Merlot from the 2020 vintage, I believe, or is the 2020?
2020, and you gave it 91 points.
91 plus. 91 plus. I was on the verge of 92. I love the length and the finish of that Merlot. There's a peppery style, but not over black peppers. It was a lot more of a white pepper, lengthy, beautiful, but it's not that big plummy Merlot. It's more of a bright and fresh, and this wine shines into minerality. Like that is one of that wine that really, really shine in terms of minerality. So I was a big fan of that Merlot, 91 plus. We go to the Cab Franc. Cab Franc was 90 plus, just on the verge of a 91 points. Also very well complementing the Merlot. And to me, because I totally did the right order, right? I tasted the Merlot and the Cab Franc first, and that was giving me the idea of the blend, right? I wanted to see what's the parts will give me to see what's the whole with the blend. So that was really interesting to do it that way. And the Cabernet Franc, also great single varietals. Now moving on to the Stone Straw, who is a gold medal blend, 2019 vintage, a dominant Merlot, I believe. Is it right?
I'll tell you.
You'll tell me.
Straw, we have 70% Merlot, 14.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. That's the dominant Merlot.
11 Malbec and 5 Petit Verdot. Because
there you go. There you go.
The Malbec, but that's one of the other ones that I really enjoy from Stone's Throw.
Yeah, this one, and when I talk about like super beautiful minerality, and that's the reflection of the Merlot that I tasted into single varietal, right? So really, really beautiful reflection of that Merlot, and great length.
Because we tasted the 19 and the 13 side by
that's
side.
That's it. So that was the great experience, tasting 13 versus 19 side by side, because in bonus pick, we have the 2013 that I gave it, I believe, a 92 points, if it's right.
91 plus.
91 plus on the 13, and 92 plus on the 19, right?
92 on the 19, yes. So
there you go. And
we favor the 19 because it's the 19, and so like we have a bias now. I think when we see 19 on a red, we get all excited like Pavlov's dog.
But there's also the fact that I prefer my wines in their youth. I like my wine vibrant. I like my wine filled with energy. Obviously, you don't get that in this 13, but if you're a fan of aged wine, this wine has aged perfectly. It's exactly where it should be on its curve. It's not on the downslope. It's not a wine who's dying. Definitely has finished its priming, but now it's just like aging gracefully. Just like me, right?
Yes,
or not?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now just aging gracefully. And I mean, it's going to do it for another 2 to 3 years, no problem. There's no oxidation in that wine. There's just getting its tertiary aromas developing a little bit more. Yes, yes, Daryl, you got that right. But yeah, so that 13, very, very well aged, and is like really, really cool for people who like their wines a little bit aged. This wine is 10 years old now, so it definitely delivers some different things. The 19, just like I mentioned, vibrancy of the 19 vintage, beautiful structure, beautiful elegance, directional, and beautiful minerality. Leads us to the cornerstone gold medal at the National Wine Line in the red blend, one of the toughest category to get gold medal. Cornerstone, I give it personally a 93 points. I think this is an absolute stunner. Like a great red blend, bold, rich. It delivers everything you want in terms of South Okanagan and more. Great length, great complexity, a little bit more of fruit extraction in that wine. So yeah, like fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. And this one is 33 Merlot, 33 Cab Franc, 16 Cab Sauv, 12 Malbec, and 6% Petit Verdot. And you gave it 93. Others have given it 94. It's a serious, amazing.
Oh, yeah. Gold medal, 93 from me, 94 from BC Wine Trade, 93 from Wine Line. So this wine is well acclaimed, universally well acclaimed by pretty much all critics. So yeah.
So that is the lineup. We got 2 more special wines. Just to recap here real quick, there's the Milestone, of course, which we talked about quite a bit. And this is just an outstanding wine.
Well, this is a wine of special occasion, right? This is not something you crack every night. This is truly a wine of special occasion.
For your milestones.
Absolutely. I mean, not cheap, but worth every single penny.
Worth every penny.
Not cheap, but worth every single penny.
Someone was just emailing me saying, I think I'm going to ask you to put some of those milestones aside. And I said, it is worth every penny. Because, you know, and I'm one of those people that I like to see a deal here and there. I like to get, really great value wines as well. But with this one, I'm like 125, whatever it is worth it because it was so amazing, such an amazing experience. And
you know what? And I believe that I would not be a guy to jump and purchase a bottle of that price without knowing what's in there, right? But you know what? If you're listening, I give you my seal of approval. I mean, it blew my socks off. It absolutely floored me. Like I said, I tasted a shitload of wine in my life. In the last 3 years, I tasted around 1,200 Canadian wines every year. This is part of the easily top 10 all-time list. Easily. Yeah, so
amazing. And then we also have the Fortified for those port lovers out there. It's a great, like Clay Martin said earlier in the show, it's an underrated kind of lesser known port style wine that's out there. And there's
a freshness. There's something bright in this Fortified. It's not heavy. So, and that's what I really enjoyed of that. So there's a lineup, a very special lineup.
The holidays are coming up, and all I can think about is like how many of these wines are perfect for the holidays, either as gifts or as celebrations, or like that sparkling white Merlot. What a great way to start your evening on, Christmas Eve, for example.
And I mean, and also how great with turkey it would be, this sparkling white Merlot. Oh, please. Yes. Sign me up.
So Daryl has the countdown. He says Christmas is only 82 days away. So yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Got to get stocked up.
This is a super exciting offer. So here we are. We're going to run it all weekend. And we're excited. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Angie from from River Stone to partner with us. And yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
no. So now.
Let's do a very quick about the Pinot Noir Marathon. I mean, we had a lot of Pinot Noirs open, like the 43, and then some of the members that came by on Sunday, they brought us more. I mean, this was the result for me. Okay, this was the result for me. I
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, certainly, if you were following that show, we found some great Pinots, and we have a mystery pack available. There were only 12 that we have. Mystery pack of Pinot Noirs. And so you can get a 6-pack. You can save if you get 12. So 2 of the 6 packs. We have how many left, Carl? 4?
4 left. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 4 left.
So 4 left. These are leaving the Okanagan next Tuesday or Wednesday. So getting to you.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe a little later Wednesday? On. Maybe a little later. I'm just waiting for some Ontario replies. So
it's a mystery pack because we have some very special bottles that are either no longer available or sold out, or they're library releases. We're just seeing if we can get our hands on a case of those to put in the mystery pack. And some people have said yes, and some people were still waiting. So we'll see, but there will be some amazing wines in that mystery pack of Pinot Noir. If you're a fan of Pinot Noir, there's only 4 left. So good chance to grab one, and they're all 6 different producers. So you're going to get a really great glimpse of Pinot Noir across the country. Yes, Mike, 6 Pinot Noirs from 6 different wineries that all rated 91
or better. Yeah.
At our Pinot Noir Marathon.
Yeah.
Yes. And Daryl wants to know what scores changed, because we had this spreadsheet going that people were going into. There were like 150, 200 people that went into that spreadsheet, Carl. That was a good one. We should share that spreadsheet every time. So we were putting in the scores as Carl is like tasting them live, and you could see it live. But the caveat is that sometimes the scores change a little bit based on how we taste it the second day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's, I would say there's at least 10, 12 wines that the score has changed. It hasn't changed more than 1 point. Most of them, I discarded 1 or 2 wines who absolutely fell off the cliff on the second day. I'm not going to mention any name live, but yeah, some of the wines didn't hold up.
It's not that it changes the score dramatically, but it also changes your interpretation, which is just like, okay, drink it now. It's probably not going to last more than another year or 2, right? At that score level. Yeah.
That's it. So,
but most of them, I mean, you had did a few go up too, or?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a few of them like absolutely show tremendous on Saturday compared to what I had on Friday. Friday, they were good. Well, on Saturday was outstanding. I had that with Solvero 2019. Gives me a good result on Friday. But on Saturday, it was like, whoa, that was fantastic. The Dijon, the 777 from Code did the same thing to me on Saturday. Also, which other wines? The Rose Hall Run took almost 2 days to open up to his full capacity. And on Sunday night, when I went to taste more with Richard at De Silva on Sunday night, this wine was just coming out on its own. So yeah, there is some wine who would take much longer, and I can't see that with Rose Hall Run. It's the 2020 vintage, and anyway, so there was development throughout the weekend. From Friday, because the wines were open on Saturday. The wines were open at noon on Saturday, and we tasted them through the whole weekend. And yes, the score changes a little bit, not drastically. Just a few of them changed drastically, but most of them stayed around where it was. But yeah, there was some change, half a point here and there. Absolutely. Yeah. So my number one. So do you want me to recap?
It took me a minute to find it. Mike's asking, is there a link for the Pinot Noir mystery pack? And yes, here it is. It's kind of a secret link. So when we did the marathon, we had about 10 people email saying they'd be interested in one. So we've made 12 available. I think 8 are already gone. So if you're interested in this, snag yours. It's going to be a great pack to discover amazing Pinot Noirs. And rare that you get a pack with 6 different producers that have been very highly curated like this. So
absolutely. Cool. From all over the country, right? And there's some small little gems in there as well that you won't find anywhere. So that's pretty cool. So do you want me to tell my top 10?
Yes, quick, because it's 6:05 and we got like a petite tender roast that we.
Yeah, but the petite tender can wait. Okay.
Okay.
So this wine. Oh, go back. Last picture. This wine.
So this member brought us this wine. George is a local member in West.
That's
Columbus.
my buddy George. Oh my God, he brought that wine. Holy shit! Pomard clone, ancestral method sparkling, absolutely. And that's funny because you guys probably know our good friend of the show, Rob Hammersley at Bellaterra, winemaker, owner of Bellaterra. Rob texted me, Rob was there on Sunday, and said, Carl, this is probably the best wine I tasted this year, talking about that Bella. So it was not part of my top 10 because it was not one of our selection, but I can tell you, I gave it a 93 points, okay? So here you go. So my number 1 was Clausen Chase Vineyard at $36. I gave it 94 plus points. My number 2 was Batchelder. No, number 2 was Leading Post 2019 Senchuk Vineyard. That's the wine that we serve.
You memorize this stuff, Carl. Holy cow, you're making me nervous.
That was the wine that we serve. That's why you pay me the big bucks for. Yeah. So the wine that we serve at the Pan Canadian Wine Masterclass in Toronto, a little bit more on the expensive side, but geez, the complexity of that Senchuk Vineyard Pinot Noir 2019 is absolutely off the chart. Number 3, it's the Saunders, Warren Saunders 100 Pinot Noir Beamsville Bench from Thomas Batchelder. That's my number 3. Number 4. And so now we have 3 Ontario wine at the top of the list. Yeah, sorry for BC.
Surprising because we felt that. I mean, sometimes these things kind of come together last minute. We get all the shipments and everything, and we open it up, we see what's there, and we're like, oops, we have 2/3 BC wine and 1/3 Ontario. It feels like Ontario is not represented. And then the Ontario wines did really, really well.
Absolutely. So after that, I had Mission Hill, the 2017 prospectus. I mean, it's a $100 wine. So the most expensive wine of the whole lineup. But yes, it's well made. It's luxurious.
It was magical on the first day. One of my very favorites. This is one of the ones that on the second day did quite a dip. Yeah.
But before that, I put on my number 4, I put Henry of Pelham, Spec Family Reserve Pinot Noir. It was a crowd favorite at $35 a pop, including tax, 92 plus. This wine was absolutely spectacular. It didn't score as much as the Mission Hill, but I put it higher in my list because of the price point was like the third of the price. So much more better value, better QPR. So that Henry of Pelham Spec Family Reserve was outstanding. Also, Westcott Reserve 2020 at 92 plus point as well. And I have Solvero 2019 from the Garnet Valley here in Summerland, a hidden gem, a new winery who focus on Pinot Noir. That's Solvero that you see right in the middle, just on the right of Stag's Hollow. Very, very, very well made. I truly, truly love what Alison Moyer, the former winemaker at Liquidity, she's now general manager and winemaker at Solvero here in the Garnet Valley in Summerland. Very, very beautiful. And I close up my top 10 with Upper Bench. Upper Bench Pinot Noir, their entry level, not their estate, but their entry level, the 2021. Well priced, well made, approachable. I'm a big fan of their Pinot. A couple years ago, I think I had my number 2 or number 3 wine of the year with their estate Pinot Noir. But big fan of Upper Bench. So yeah, here's my top 10. There's also many honorable mention in that. I would say. Oh no, I forgot in my top 10. 13th Street Reserve 2021 Reserve Pinot Noir. Fantastic structure in that wine, like absolutely solid, stand up on everything. He was showing well all the way to Sunday night. Great structure on that wine as well. So yeah, but honorable mention to Lake Boat in Caledon. Honorable mention to Plot Wine in Caledon as well. Natural wine, very well. But these two, you see, side by side, 2 wine from Caledon. Great potential there for Pinot Noir. Honorable mention as well for Rose Hall Run from Prince Edward County with the Nedelco, the Silver Fox block from the Nedelco Vineyard. 90 points on the dot at the beginning. I was probably at 91 at the end of the weekend. This wine is, check out that wine throughout the years. This wine has a potential to evolve gracefully. Shout out to the Silva, the new 2021 Pinot. I mean, we tasted a wine that it was bottled a week prior to tasting. So I mean, it's hard to compete with wines when you just get bottled. I mean, there's still in bottle shock, but I know the potential is tremendous, like pretty much everything with De Silva does. Also, honorable mention and shout out to Haywire. They're doing something new in the Garnet Valley as well here in Summerland. We're doing some good stuff. And yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one more shout out Maverick with their white Pinot Noir that we started the night with at 90 points. Beautiful white Pinot, rich and creamy that I really enjoy. It was a great way to start a tasting. So here we are.
Here we are.
I didn't have a sheet, Mira. It's all on top of my head.
It's like nerve-wracking. I'm like, how do you remember this stuff? Well, hey, in the Okanagan, it's been gorgeous lately. I hope it is where you are too. I think you guys out in Ontario are getting like a heat wave right now. So hope everyone's doing well, enjoying it. And quick shout out to our friend that we just recently met from Jamie, who runs an all-Canadian wine store in Japan. So interesting. We just had dinner with him last Thursday night. And yeah, great to chat with you guys. Great chatting wine. Remember to check out the River Stone wines this week until Sunday. I know it's a long weekend. I know it's Thanksgiving. But you know what? You're going to be in the mood for amazing wines. And you're going to be thinking forward to what the next holiday gathering is going to be all about, and these wines are perfect for that. So,
I mean, can I say something?
Yes.
Don't miss out on that pack.
No.
I mean, it's like the Batchelder early this year. It's like the Claus and Chase. Like, just don't miss out on this one.
It's a good one.
It's
all right.
Freaking fantastic. Okay, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, also maybe the River Stone followers as well as they're still with us. All of you Canadian wine lovers and you, Mira Boucher,
and you,
have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. Thank you and cheers.